at. This is a scary Christmas house located in Glendale, Arizona, and this place is decked out to the nines in Nightmare Before Christmas decor. From the animatronics to all the lights, there's so many small details that only true fans will recognize.
Christmas Murders, Part 7. Melissa Young wanted to give a gift to her neighbor Alan Williamson. However, after bringing a couple small items over to his house, he denied her offer. This had to have upset Melissa because she then proceeded to murder Alan. She admitted in court that she was dealing with some mental issues. In 2014, she was sentenced to a minimum of 20 years in prison. Since then, she has assaulted 2 correctional officers.
This is why you shouldn't go for walks in Sweden. In 2008, a Swedish woman went out for an evening stroll with her dog, but never came back. Her husband went looking for her and found her dead next to a lake. The police immediately blamed her husband and sent him to jail. After a few months, the woman's forensic analysis report came back, and it was clear the husband was innocent because there was all this hair and saliva on the woman's body that was not his. It turns out there is a very strange phenomenon that occurs in Sweden in the fall when all of the apples have fallen off of their trees. Those apples ferment, and then hordes of moose eat those apples, becoming drunk, and oftentimes very belligerent, like this drunk moose who got stuck in a tree. The hair and saliva of the killer belonged to a drunk Swedish moose.
Today's monster is the Pumpkin King himself, Jack Skellington. Jack Skellington is the patron spirit of Halloween. He is on par with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. He has earned his name, Pumpkin King, due to scaring people but never hurting them. He lives in Halloween Town, a town that celebrates Halloween every single day. He is very much a gentleman, always calm, and can be counted on to do what's best for everyone. He has a ghost dog named Zero, a partner named Sally. He appears to be immortal and cannot feel pain. He can literally take off one of his ribs and play fetch with Zero. A Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the greatest Halloween movies ever. With Halloween coming up, it is a perfect time to watch.
Yeah, I don't like that.
This is a Christmas horror story about the Xbox. It was almost Christmas and John wanted to buy the new Xbox. He started searching online for resellers and he found a great offer. And he immediately sent a message to the seller. John wanted to meet in public, but the seller insisted to get the Xbox to his home. So John gave him his address. He was waiting the whole day, but the guy didn't show up. But when he was about to go to sleep, he heard something from the outside. There was a guy just standing there. John went to talk to him and he said he was the seller and he had his Xbox. He said that he had it in his van and that John should come with him. He looked extremely nervous and suspicious. John knew that something wasn't right, so he said he's gonna grab the money and come back. He went inside as fast as possible and he locked the door. And then he heard a loud thud on his door. When he pulled his phone to call 911, he heard the van leaving. When he checked outside, there was an axe on his door. So be careful when you're buying something online. You never know who's behind that screen.
Christmas Horror Stories, Part 5. In December of 1959, Harold Perelson awoke in the early morning. Harold, who can be seen right here, ended up murdering his wife and attempting to murder his daughter. However, the shot that he took at his daughter ended up missing and she ended up escaping. She rushed out of the house and alerted the neighbors as to what happened. Meanwhile, Harold was still in the house. He went to his 2 sons' room with the intent to kill them. However, he found himself unable to take the shot. He told them that the whole thing was a nightmare and that they should just go back to sleep. He then made his way to the kitchen and consumed an entire bottle of pills. He was dead before the authorities could even arrive. Until 2009, the house sat untouched with all of the Christmas stuff still left out. The house was then purchased by a new owner.
His story's called The Gift. As Matt sat around the tree on Christmas morning, he was relieved that it was all over. His neighbour and best friend of 20 years had just been found not guilty of the brutal murder of his wife and his two children, aged 4 and 7. And it had been a long and painful year for everyone involved. So his best friend said he came home from work one night and found his wife skinned and hanging from the staircase. And his two young children had also been brutally murdered in the back playroom of the house with the same hunting knife. His best friend had been the prime suspect because his wife was actually having an affair. But police couldn't find the murder weapon, and the courts didn't have enough to convict him of the murder of his family. And Matt's world had turned upside down a year earlier when these murders happened just next door on Christmas Eve. He thought everyone was screaming, having fun. What's worse is on Christmas morning last year when he opened an unnamed gift, it was a large hunting knife with a note from his neighbour that simply said, "I hope you love your family more than I love mine." Shh.
Scary Christmas Urban Legends, Part 1. Christmas is right around the corner, so let's just hop into it. First one is Krampus. I'm pretty sure y'all already heard who he is. If y'all didn't know, the word Krampus actually means claw. To get a better understanding of him, just think of him as the evil Santa Claus. So Krampus's job is actually to punish the bad kids, and Santa's job is to reward the kids who've been nice. So if you've been bad, you're gonna get eaten. Nice. Next one we're going to be talking about is Grylaw, this girl right here. So Grylaw actually comes in 13 days before Christmas, and she goes to sleeping children's beds, snatches them up, makes a stew out of them, and eats them. Oh yeah, did I also mention she's like 10 feet tall? And if you like this video, make sure you like, share, and copy link. Also, you probably want to hit that follow button. It just helps me out.
His story's called Knock Knock at Santa, but I must warn you, it's disturbing. On a front door security camera, a 7-year-old girl is seen to be opening the front door. Smart to keep the security door closed, she's met with the Santa Claus. Although the girl's fearful, the Santa is really kind and says, "Well, hello, Haley, I've been told you've been good this year." Totally shocked, the little girl says, "How did you know my name?" The Santa laughs and says, "Ho, ho, ho, I know everything." He says, "Haley, can you unlock the door for me?" She says, "I can't, my parents aren't home and my brother's looking after me." The Santa says, "Where's your brother now?" He says he's upstairs playing Xbox, but he never comes out of his room. Santa slowly smiles and says, "If you open the door, I have a big surprise for you and your family." He says, "You know you can trust Santa, right?" Reluctantly, the little girl opens the door. The front door video camera then records the Santa leaving the house about 2 hours later. Later that night, it shows the little girl's parents returning home. And then it shows the front yard quickly filled with police. Upon their return, they found bits of their 7-year-old daughter cut up and hanging from the tree. Her head, arms, legs, and torso were all cut up, wrapped, and put under the tree. Her brother was later found upstairs with his headphones on, totally unaware, still playing Xbox.
Gruesome Christmas Stories, Part 1. In 2011, Patty White invited a family friend over to stay as long as she needed for the holidays. 67-year-old Michelle O'Dowd was delighted by the offer, so she agreed to stay with Patty. That was until she failed to show up to work and her brother went to check on her. When he entered the house, he found his sister's body laying lifeless underneath the Christmas tree. Patty was convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison for beating and strangling Michelle.
This is how a fake Santa Claus robbed a house on Christmas night. A 7-year-old boy woke up randomly on Christmas night. When the kid woke up, he was really thirsty, so he decided he was gonna go all the way downstairs to get himself a glass of water. When the kid was downstairs drinking his water, he heard some noises coming from the family room. What he heard sounded like some type of big bag. The kid thought it was his mom, so he went and peeked around the corner to see who it was. He turned on his lamp so he could see who it was. When the kid turned on the lamp, he was greeted with a very tall man with a red suit and hat and with a very familiar beard. It was Santa Claus. He had signaled the kid to come over towards him. When the kid walked over, Santa Claus patted his head and said he was delivering his presents in his black bag. Then Santa whispered into the kid's ear saying that he needs to go back to bed. Santa took the kid all the way back up to his bedroom. When the kid went to his room, he closed his door and was really excited because he just saw Santa. Part 2 is out.
Scary Christmas creatures. Hans Trapp is a German Christmas creature that is said to help Santa take care of the naughty children. The story was based on real-life Hans van Troth, who died while trying to consume human flesh in the woods.
If you don't behave, you're gonna get a lump of coal in your stocking. If you don't behave, monsters are gonna come into your room in the middle of the night and eat your skin, peeling it off piece by piece, like some type of human string cheese.
Belsnickel is described as the opposite of Santa, who comes to visit children in the days leading up to Christmas. He throws candy on the floor, then whips the children that grabs them to warn them to behave for Santa.
Littering like that. He should be ashamed. I guess whipping kids isn't good either. Or is it? Maybe some kids like getting whipped. Well, that's the line that's probably gonna get me arrested. Not the line of crack that I did before this, but the line about children's fetishes.
The Joulupuki are goat-like creatures from Finland that are said to have ugly faces and horns that go around demanding gifts from children.
Now this is the reverse Santa Claus. So instead of milk and cookies, you have to leave out celery and water.
The exact reason why you don't want to eat Santa's cookies this year. In South Africa, there's an old tale about a young boy named Danny. Like most kids, Danny loved Christmas, and he also loved that Santa Claus was coming. Each year, like most kids did, he'd leave cookies and milk out for Santa. But one year, Danny ate all the cookies, and this really angered his grandmother, and in her rage, she killed him. It's now said that the ghosts of the grandma and Danny haunt all the houses of the children who eat Santa's cookies. Stories so ingrained in South African culture that all the parents tell the kids so they don't get haunted by the grandma or Danny.